Chapter 1. The Male Impersonator. I first met Juanita, La Cubana, in the Hotel del Rey's Blue Marlin bar. Cubana is Spanish for a female Cuban. I was sitting with some gringo newcomer at a table on the lower level in the front. I can't remember much about the guy except that he seemed rather picky and fickle. He would spy some girl who caught his fancy, then look for faults such as too much makeup, small tits, unappealing outfit, whatever. We both spotted this one chica who had a very pretty face from a distance, and he motioned her over. When she came over, he offered her a drink, and she asked if a friend could join us. The friend was Juanita, La Cubana. When the first chica came over, the gringo quickly lost interest in her and excused himself to go to the bathroom, never to be seen again. This left me with Juanita and the other chica, whose name I can't recall, even though I ended up taking her home with me. I never saw that chica again, but I ran into Juanita many times. Although she wasn't particularly pretty, she did have a body type I like, tall and slim, and she was affordable. So I ended up taking her home with me one night. She was mediocre in bed, and I didn't repeat with her, but over the span of the next 7 or 8 years, I ran into her quite a number of times in various bars. When things were slow, as they often were, we would talk. One night, when we were sitting at the bar in the Poas, a couple of transvestite prostitutes came in to order a shot, as they sometimes did, especially on chilly nights. The conversation turned to the subject of ladyboys, and La Cubana told me the following story. She was in the old Dos Gringos bar one afternoon, along with the usual assortment of locals and gringos. She caught the eye of a gringo sitting 1 seat away from her, and he began buying her drinks and flirting with her. Great, she thought, a customer. She was pleased when he changed seats to come over to sit next to her. He seemed quite interested, but their conversation was impaired by the fact that he spoke almost no Spanish, and she spoke almost no English. As I mentioned before, my Cubana friend is rather tall, 5'9" or so, and though she's slim, she's not skinny or small-boned. It would seem that this was the reason behind the gringo's repeated question, "Do you have a dick?" La Cubana, wanting to be agreeable and not understanding the question, just nodded her head and said "Sí." Now you might expect that this admission would discourage the gringo's pursuit of her, but you would be wrong. It seems that he was indeed looking for a chick with a dick. To each his own. Well, they continued drinking for a while, and finally the gringo wanted to leave for his hotel and take Juanita with him. The bartender, a friend of La Cubana, stopped her as she was leaving. "Flaca, you know this guy thinks you're a man, right? He was asking you if you had a penis, and you kept telling him yes." Juanita stopped in her tracks. "Tell him I'm not a man, please." So the bartender explained to the gringo that the Cubana had misunderstood him, and that no, she most certainly did not have a dick. This news upset the gringo. He became enraged and stormed off. After the surprise and shock wore off, the Cubana and the bartender couldn't help laughing. What a world. Fast forward a year or so, and our Cubana friend is walking along the sidewalk near the Del Rey Hotel, and a local guy pulls up in a nice car. "Hey, baby," all this in Spanish, "you're looking fine. Are you a man or a woman?" La Cubana remembered her prior experience and came back with, "What are you looking for?" "A man," said the driver. "I'm male," she replied. So she got in his car and he drove to one of the short-term love motels. She had already developed a plan. She would just give him a blowjob, and he'd never know that she lacked the special equipment that he was looking for. When they arrived, they went upstairs into the room, and she undid his pants and began to suck him. He responded, as expected, but after a few minutes, he pulled back and told her he wanted to see her pene, her penis. Would she please take off her pants? Uh-oh, time for some fast talking. She told him that she was a man, but that she had gotten an operation and that they had surgically removed her male organ. She hoped this would dissuade him, but no such luck. He was a visual kind of guy, and he wanted to look. Well, she could refuse and definitely not get paid, or drop her drawers and let the chips fall where they may. She took off the pants and showed him the results of her surgery. His jaw dropped. "Wow," said the client. "What?" replied the Cubana. "That doctor did an amazing job. It looks totally realistic." She quickly pounced on his reaction. "Yes, he really did do a great job, didn't he?" The client continued to enthuse over the skill of the doctor even as she resumed the blowjob. When it was all over and it was time to pay, she was still a little worried, but she needn't have been. She was used to getting $40 or $50, but he was so delighted that he gave her $150. To this day, she sees him in the streets every few months, and once in a while he will even hire her company for an hour or so. But every time he sees her, he shouts, "Hey, Cubano!" which means Cuban man. Sometimes she will be with friends, and they will want to know why he calls her Cubano, male, instead of Cubana, female. She just smiles and says it's a private joke.